All right, so here's our CyberScope. Here's our Nmap app, and this is in fact where you can define tests and put all your parameters in there. Here's I want to test for open TCP ports and services. Here's the command. Here's the timeout, and then here's how you can do the grading. Hey, it must not contain. I want to detect any AJPVNC or SSH running on the site, and I want to call that a warning, right? So that gives you an example of how you sort of can these things. So when we get over here to auto test, and I already ran this one, right? Of course, this runs both wired or Wi-Fi, but I'll go into the Wi-Fi. So normally, if you think about our auto test, right, we'd connect, show you about the channel and the AP and DHCP and DNS and the gateway, and then we, normally it's about connectivity testing, right? So Google page load. Well, all of a sudden there's a lot of new things you can do, right? One that you could sort of do before actually was determine if you want to make sure that you can't reach something, right? You can come in and run a test, and this failed because it got a 403, right? It was supposed to be blocked from that particular network, whatever you're using to provide your segmentation. So there's that. But now suddenly to auto test, you can walk into a site, connect to whatever SSID, and say, hey, you know what? I don't want any Alexa or Spotify. And here, sure enough, I'm looking in here, and I've been floored at how many things run Alexa. I just have a little mesh network I set up with the Eros, and they're all running Alexa, and they're all running Spotify Connect, right? So just a bunch of services that I didn't expect, and then you of course go and look, and there's issues with, there's always vulnerabilities around all these services. Maybe I care about thread, but it's only a warning. So same thing, I can come in here and sure enough, there's some thread running. But I might also want to make sure that I need a particular thing. And so you can also grade by, I take a look at this guy, I can also say it must contain something. So when I do this particular test, make sure that that's there. And so if mesh comp wasn't there in the services scan, we would grade that as an error. So and then just other, and then you go on and on with this, right? But basically, test any service. And Nmap is a college degree in itself. You can make a career out of that. But so this gives you a sense of auto test. But really, what's going on here, since profiles are named, right? This is named SGI network. This is where you can basically can a particular set of tests, so that if you had to go out to 20 schools or 20 or 100 small retail sites or doctor's offices that you just acquired as a part of a healthcare system, right? You could sort of set up a set of tests. And really, this is about de-skilling, right? The great migration with people, or great resignation, people changing jobs. How do you, the difficulties in attracting talent? How do you make them effective, and kind of make, and also just the consistency of data acquired, right? You can't measure it if you don't acquire it. And so this sort of ensures that you gather the same data from every site every time somebody is there. So that's auto test. But a lot of the power, and how it uses Nmap, right? But a lot of the power is actually in discovery, right? And so we have our traditional discovery, right? And I could come in here and look at my devices, and we have our sorts. I could sort by problems, and here's one right at the top, right? So here is the I look at this, and I've got a problem, and it's a Raspberry Pi, and it's also running SSH on both IPv6 and IPv4. And so if I look at that from a ports perspective, right, there's SSH running, and what's really interesting is, as I mentioned, it's not just about the port; it's about what's running behind. I'm kind of stunned that I've got SSH running on 4 devices here, and then amongst them, I've got different variants, right? That was OpenSSH. This one is that's also OpenSSH 8.0. Hang on, let me go back to it real quick. Oh yeah, this was the HTTP daemon is one I hadn't seen. Let's go here a little bit further. Let's go, here's my mist. It's running drop bear SSH. And then I think last but not least, here is this guy, and he's running VNC. Okay, well that's interesting. I probably don't want VNC turned on in my site unless it's deliberate, right? So you see how we've automatically applied Nmap and whatever you want to every device we discovered to add, all this additional color commentary, but we also if you see something like this and you want to drill on it, you can then use our floating action button here and say, hey, I want to. And in the past, we have, I could do a path analysis to find out where it is. I could do our legacy port scan. I could capture traffic from him. I could name and authorize him, but I could also do Nmap. And so, and I could start to type, V and C here, and there's a bunch of VNC scripts. But now basically what I've added is drilling for more information, and that's running, and we're still just a little bit in development. We kind of need a progress spinner here, but there it is. It's kind of, hang on, give it one more second here. So if you look at Nmap, it's so rich. These are all the categories of scripts. These are all the libraries that you can that you can build scripts on, right? Everything's there for sending out multicasts, for remote procedure calls, for you name it, SMB, and then here's all the scripts, right? 603 scripts, 130 libraries, right? Just a massive collection of stuff that you can build anything on. So let's see. So
James,
so here, yes, please.
how much of this functionality is only in the CyberScope versus some of the other handheld products?
It's only in the CyberScope at this point.
Okay.
So
Yes, that's where we're staging it for now.
would we be able to get an extra license and then install the app on a G3 or XNG? In the future, is that on the roadmap? Because it looks like similar functionality.
It's something we're considering. We're kind of trying to just control the space a little bit initially, but requests like yours are coming in hot and heavy, so it's probably escalating as we speak. So what's really nice was I saw this guy had VNC from his ports and services. I saw the version of VNC protocol he was running, and then in fact this guy is interesting because he's running the 5800 version, which is where you can point your browser at it and run it. But then I was also able to just augment it with some additional VNC information, and in fact see that this server is open, right? It doesn't require authentication, and so because they set the security type at none, and so you kind of get a sense for how quickly and easily you can sort of pick things up like that. Let's see, if I was the other thing. Let me flip back to PowerPoint for a second because I need a slide to explain this. Why am I at the beginning there? Let's see. So the other thing that's kind of interesting is here we go, is APIs, right? So as we all know, in fact, a lot of Mist would claim they're an API first company, and in fact they are. And so, but everybody's got APIs. You have to have APIs anymore. And on the amount of data that lives in APIs in the Knox is phenomenal. And so as we started to look at this is a pull of some of the information from Mist, well, we know the MAC address, or we know the MAC address or the IP address, right? And once we have that, we can go into the table, match it up. We can see when that device connected, when it was last seen, because you may have not been there at that moment, but you can start to see a lot of extra information in some cases that they can see because they manage the connection. They're in line with the unencrypted traffic, right? And so I can see this is actually a Linux OS running on the Samsung device. And then when you go into these tables, if you haven't looked at the JSON for these, they tend to have these gnarly GUIDs, unique IDs, and then you can reference, well, this client is on this AP. What do I know about this AP? Well, I know how it's connected. I know what switch it's connected to. I know the name of it. I know how it's getting powered. I even know its ambient temperature, right? And then, or I can go to the SSID, the WLAN, and take that, cross-reference that in another table, and find out that in fact, oh, that's a best effort SSID. It's running in both bands. There, even the pre-shared key is in the clear there, and there's the SSID. So there's all this power when you think about this, we have Nmap and these 603 scripts as well as the direct command line stuff, and then it sits on top of this Nmap scripting engine, which by the way is scripting language is Lua, which is the same language used by Wireshark for writing decodes. So kind of some I'm sure Peter would know that. And then there's these 139 libraries off to the side that you can use that just make it easy to do things with a few lines of code, and then you can run that on any of our four interfaces. That was our architecture. It kind of dawned on us, boy, it'd be great to be able to leverage these. Well, there were libraries for doing RESTful HTTP and pulling APIs and parsing JSON. Wouldn't it be great if we could somehow leverage that? So we added this notion of custom discovery, and it's where you can, as a part of the discovery, go right into the scripting engine and use the libraries and go out any interface you want. And so we take the information we have and we pass it in directly. It basically you can say, hey, run this script, and but we give you a jump start, right? We pass in as arguments. In fact, here you can see what this is there's the script name. This is our printf script, right? This is our sample script, right? But you can see that we're passing in the client type and the address and the MAC and the name, and it's all the stuff that you need to basically go into the APIs and pull out any information that you want and put it on the screen. And so in fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's get into here. Let's get out of there. There we go. All right, so let's go back over here. So when let me come over here. So I'm going to come over to my discovery, and I'm going to come into this SSID. In fact, I've got multiple SSIDs here. Let me go into my filters, right? Small network, but here, let me just filter on MIST and come back out. So there's all my clients that are sitting on the MIST AP, right? So I can come in then and say, well, this guy, I wouldn't normally know much about him, but now we've added via Nmap port information. Still not much help there, but I can go into here through the API pulled from MIST, and we've now augmented this with, hey, it's an Android 11, it's a Galaxy Tab S5. Here's its uptime, association channel, RX and TX stats. Anything you wanted to pull out, you could, right? But it kind of gives you a sense of that. And sometimes there's just some real clues in there, because you got to know what these devices are on your network. Here, the only clue I had of what this was the manufacturer prefix, which is, by the way, getting few and far between these days, because a lot of things are using the link local bit. But if I were to come into here and came into MIST API, again, it's not given up much, but sure enough, the host name was set to what it was set to actually when I set up the unit. It's the master bedroom, right? SGI MBR. And so so you can kind of start to see the power of the APIs, and you know, it's especially like I mentioned these local admin guys here. Let me find, yeah, let's try this guy. So here's something that normally, and it's kind of interesting. It seemed to me like a year ago that when something was linked, it took its actual manufacturer prefix. Now all of a sudden they've got the local admin stuff going, right? Where it's a 226 AE, I think, in the second octet, and like there's the E there, or there's 2 there, sorry. But so normally I'd be sitting here kind of flying half blind as to what this is, but with the API augmentation, I can come in and see exactly what it is. In fact, it's my S22 Ultra running Android 13, and then I could set pass fail on it. So I could say, hey, don't allow Windows 8 or 11 or you know, this particular model or that. And since we allow regular expressions, you can build it out any way you want, right? In terms of detecting things. So you kind of get a sense for that. But what's really cool, let me show you one more thing before I go to Link Live, which is, although let me go ahead and push this to Link Live. So you've done all this stuff on the handheld, but let me go ahead and push this up to Link Live and show you one more thing down here. Another thing we added was Bluetooth. We only in the past showed Bluetooth in the Bluetooth survey. We potentially even a little bit backwards, but now we're basically detecting Bluetooth and even parsing out beacon types. This is an Apple beacon type. This is Eddystone URL. In fact, I even set the URL in it to Tech Field Day. And so we now have this you know, Bluetooth detection, and I think that's about what I wanted to show on the unit. So I pushed that other stuff up to Link Live. Let's go over to Link Live now. So over in Link Live, here's my auto test results, right? So I'd shown you all that. Well, we had done our web thing. There's UC Health. I wasn't allowed to get to UC Health on the particular, you know, SSID I was connected to. Here's my Alexa and Spotify. But if you want all those same details you had on the unit, you just click on this, and there's the same output with the same gradings applied, right? So we have this complete flow. Everything you can do on the handheld, you can see it in the field, or it's saved, you know, for posterity in the cloud. And I can drill in on any of these. You know, do I have my thread in here? You know, yep, there's thread. So that's so that sort of shows you auto test. If I were to come in and wanted to look at the analysis that I just pushed up, I could come in here and in fact, one thing I sometimes do is just right out of the chute, I'll just duplicate tabs. So let me duplicate this tab, and then let me duplicate this tab. Oh, I didn't mean to pin him. Duplicate him. There we go. All right. So I'll come into analysis here, and I will do our traditional analysis. I'll come in here. Where'd my other tabs go? All right. Well, I'll work out of one tab. So we have our traditional analysis. I can come in here, and I can bring up my problems, my you know, all of my stuff, and come in here and, you know, look at Nmap. All the, you know, same details are available there. We added a new analysis in so same thing in topology, right? Sometimes I want to view my site as topology, and let's see here. Was it this guy that I picked on? So it came in here, and yeah, here's so I'm looking at a topology map, but I can actually come back in here again and see that I'm running drop bear SSH, right? But kind of from a topology view, and drag that over here, and so and there's just a lot of ability to filter and sort here, right? Out whatever you want. You don't need it so much with this small network. And then one new addition we added was this table view. Let me come back out here and let me go with the table view. And so we have this power table now. Again, another way to look at information and see see things that are going on. Here's this guy running SSH, didn't want that, can drill in on the details. Let's see here. I guess we added so much stuff. I got more to show. Dan was right. I needed more time, but nevertheless, another thing we added now for the first time, I believe in the industry, is client survey. And when I was trying to understand this, the best way for me to do it was to look at surveys I had never seen before. So we had this from one of our sales guys, and kind of came in here, and clients are a little different, right? They don't beacon regularly. We have to see them at the point. But this is a place. This is actually a hospital. I'd never seen it, never been there. Now this thing's in the way again. But let me bring this down. Get rid of that. Sorry. Bring this up. So as I'm kind of walking around the survey, I can see these little pop-ups are always where you don't want them. They have a strange knack of that. But you can see, I could see different SSIDs, the guest SSID. I started to kind of take some interest in the, and you can see what's on the production network, right? Here's a Netgear hotspot, I would say. Here's all the Cisco stuff. You can start to see, and in fact, if I wanted to filter this down further, I could just type CIS, right? And we would filter to just the Ciscos. However, so I started to see these all these hanhais here, and I was like, well, what's a hanhai, right? And this gets down to the problem where more, a lot of times companies are just getting third-party Wi-Fi cards and not changing the MAC address to represent the nameplate on the product. So I can come in here. These are all the clients I saw along the way. Let me take this down. Let me bring this guy up here. And then let's say I just wanted to focus on these guys and understand what's the story with these guys. So I'm just going to click off those guys real quick to filter on them. And 1, 2 more, apply that. Okay, here's all the places that I saw Hanhai Max. Here is let's see, back up. So here I saw this guy connected to the Impact network, and I didn't see anything for a little bit. Then I saw a different guy connected on the Impact network on channel 6. Then I saw then this is interesting. This is an outlier. I saw one of them that was, and you can kind of see the power of comparison here. These all sort of came out of the same box, right? They came on the same truck, crate, but like a group of printers came in or something when they built the hospital. But here's kind of an outlier, right? And so, but I can see here's one that's probing, right? And it's kind of interesting. It's like by default the Wi-Fi must be turned on, and it's probing for unconfigured, right? Is actually the SSID it's looking for. So so I can keep going through Impact, Cisco. Let me come over here. What was interesting, what started to catch my eye was this guy here, because all of a sudden I had another outlier, a Hanhai that was on an ellipsis jetpack, right? So in fact, if you look at this, it's kind of a triple violation. I've got a device I don't know on a Diffron AP that was propped up with an ellipsis jetpack SSID, and it's an RF violation because it's running on channel 9, right? This would be Lee Badman's favorite thing to talk about. And so so if I come over here and I look at this, I can kind of see in this area, for example, I saw all these clients. I saw, all these guys look legit. This is an outlier. And so and not only is it on channel 9, but we also synthesized a column out, which is the number of points we saw him on. So So if I were to come in here, another new feature we added is the ability to just click on these and automatically filter. You don't have to go hunt it down. So if let me get rid of that, and then let me get back to my Han Hai, this guy here, click, we added the filter automatically, and then we synthesize a column, which is the number of points we saw him on. If you think about it, that's how much he was transmitting, right? Because you've got the intersection of us scanning for 100 or so milliseconds at the same time he was transmitting. Well, most of these other guys were not transmitting. You know, I didn't see him that much. Here's one guy that was probably getting used in production. But if I sort on that, you know, I can see that this guy was not only doing all this other stuff, but he was also very busy, right? So so that gives you a sense of client survey. Let's see, here is, get this panel out of the way now. You know, it always lands right on top of my tabs. Let's see. Here's our traditional Bluetooth survey, right? And you know, lots of Bluetooth information in here, and you can, you know, again, sort and filter on anything you want. The here is here's our table view of BSSIDs. So one kind of last new things we added here is the ability to now do analysis right in Link Live. So so I'll show you a simple example. If I were to come in here and sort of take this guy and select him as a column, I could then say I want to create a chart. Let's just do something simple. Let's say I wanted to do a histogram of what these are all the BSSIDs, 281 BSSIDs, and I just want to get my head around it. I could say, hey, which let me do channels, and then I'm going to do that as a histogram. And I'll apologize, like I need to change the bin widths, right? But you can see this is all stuff running in the 2.4 gig band, and then you can kind of see sort of a DFS dropout here. And I could set the bins tighter so you get a better sense for that. But I could also take that channel stuff, let's say, and say create chart, and I would want to maybe do a little different type of graph. Let me do a scatter graph. Let me do that. Let me do that. And now I want to do scatter of channels versus channel widths. Let me go ahead and open this up a little bit. Oh, you know what? I didn't select the column. All right, hang on. All right, select column. Create chart. Give me a scatter graph. Can't do it yet. Need a second axis. Channel width. There we go. You know, kind of a nice graphical way right in Link Live to, again, spot outliers. In fact, I was looking at this and I noticed that, oh, and if I want to know what these are, I can add a label here. In fact, it was kind of interesting to see that our LRC SSID was running on channel 1 and 6, but not 11, right? And is running 40 megahertz wide. So you can kind of start to see, you know, all the things that are running 20, 40, 80. You know, if I was in 6 gig, you could see 160, and you can do additional graphing. In fact, you could even come in here and say, if you're a bubble chart person, I could say that I want to see that relative to, oh, I don't know, max AX rate or something like that. And so so then I could come in and see that, in fact, my widths sort of correspond to my rates, right? So here's a 573. That's why the bubble's that big. Here's a guy who, in fact, he's probably not AC. These guys are all running about 2404, 2402 the max, but gives you a sense of some of the graphing and slicing and dicing you can do with this new table widget. And in fact, you could even filter stuff out in here out of the graph. So when I was backlinked that last thing, I could have said, no, I only want to look at this particular SSID, or let's say I wanted to look at let's try this one more time here. Let's do select the column, and I want to create a chart, and I want to create a scatter graph, and I want to scatter it with widths. Okay, and then I could come over and say, oh, I only want to see the guys that are open though. Oh, that didn't refresh. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, that should refresh, and I should be able to see the guys that were open with just that. So we'll get that right. Anyway, so there's that, and then one last thing. We added the ability in Link Live since there's always new scripts that are coming out in GitHub. There's new vulnerability, Log4j, new script. The ability to basically take your scripts that you either wrote or have gotten from somebody else or out of the Nmap community, or you could take, or there might be a new Lua library, as if 139 aren't enough, or here's another script. And you can basically import them into Link Live and come over here, import a script, and this guy, let's say, and then just basically pick, oh, I need that script to go to all of my units or just this unit. And so I can come over here and let me go ahead and, in fact, I'll go ahead and push that to the unit. And if I'm fast enough and come over here, we should see, look at that, we got a notification. There's a notification that new script just came down from Link Live. So we have a really nice workflow. I'm basically out of time, but I hopefully get a sense of what we've done, the additional visibility we've added in terms of operating systems and OS, API integration, TCP port scanning. I didn't show UDP port scanning. It's equally fascinating. The integration into Link Live, showing all those results in topology and analysis in the table and table view, Bluetooth on the unit, Bluetooth in the Bluetooth analysis in the cloud. We always add Bluetooth survey, client survey, big new add in terms of understanding what's at your site. Kind of as a way to replace the, let me go in and just hunt for this. What's this? Right? Kind of lets you just walk around the site and then go back and sit at your desk and understand what's going on. So I'm gonna wrap there, and
hey James.
And yeah, please.
It's obviously some of these products are involved, right? You just spent about whatever it was, an hour running through some very, very in-depth features. What is NetAlly's approach to like training and enablement and multi-day classes so that an average everyday Joe off the street can get as good as you?
Yeah. So a couple things. One is, in fact, we just had Chris Greer, who we've enlisted to help us. He did a Udemy course on Nmap, has a CyberScope, and he's race tuning up to do more. We had our first webinar just Tuesday, and we'll be doing more webinars there. Really need to get just a variety of content. There probably needs to be some printed material. I'd like to believe that we're going to get to the point where we're providing scripts, right? As we find cool things or recent vulnerabilities or things like that we would just make them available for folks to bring into Link Live and push to their unit and include some training on that. And also we have two SEs, two system engineers who would be happy to do some training with folks.
Very good.
But probably something we need to work. I tell you what, though, there's a ton of there's so much YouTube stuff out there on Nmap and scripts and yeah, it's amazing. I mean, my problem with developing for today was I just kept finding cool things. Oh, what's this? Where's there's drop bear. What's drop bear? Oh, look, there's that vulnerability. Oh, is this drop bear 8 or drop bear 9? I mean, it just kept going on, and so and I couldn't contain myself, so probably got a little behind on the development side. But anyway.
Yeah, something I was thinking as you were talking, James, was it'd be great if there's a way, a sort of community element for sharing scripts. So someone writes a script for Mist or someone writes a script for Meraki. That would be great if I guess through Link Live you could have a library of scripts where people can share them.
Yeah, I agree completely. And Nmap has a huge community, and we really need to get. We chose Mist, right, because they were the most API forward. But but you're right. There's no reason we shouldn't. Anything that isn't wireless LAN controller based, we should, and even they probably have APIs, right? And it's kind of interesting. The APIs could be used not just to pull information in, but to actually push it out. So you could push stuff out to a trouble ticket system. You could say, hey, everything that had an error, I want to put a trouble ticket in, or somehow enlist it in some other system. And so it can be used. It can be used in a variety of ways that really we just have yet to explore. To be honest with you, the custom API thing only came to us about 6 weeks ago. We were just thinking about it. I was like, boy, it'd be really neat if we could pull API information right into the handheld.
Yeah, I really like that feature, actually, being able to pull API information in. I also thought that there is the potential of being able to push information back to your wireless LAN system if you want to maybe fix issues you find.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree completely. I think that's Peter.